Hello and welcome back. This is ProTaleDev back with another Dungeon Architect video, and this time we're going to be talking pretty much about the save system I've been working on. I spent most of the time doing that, but there is a minor thing that I've been working on, and that is the new designs for the shops. So I'm going to show that immediately, and then we'll move on to the big save system that I've been working on. So first of all, they just look a little bit better. They've got a bit more coloration to them. The icon's a bit higher up. And the colour represents the specific type. So potions is going to be this red kind of colour. The star is a little bit more interesting looking. The armour is the white and blue, and then the weapon is the yellow and orange. And as we get to bigger designs, they've been slightly changed just to be a little bit more unique, diverse, so you can tell them apart when the icon isn't showing. Because yes, you can turn them off now. So as you can see, we have a little bit more design, a little bit more interesting in general. And then when we get to the final one, it's like this big open area with multiple stalls. And we do have these lights as well, so lights are on everything now, and they work when it becomes daytime or nighttime. And just to show that the icons are working as well, I'm just going to start this up. As you can see, there's no longer an icon above it, but if I click the inspector, you'll see that an icon does appear. Also, slight change to the, before I forget, the food. So now it's actually it's on an angle, so that it's easier to see the icon color. You'll also see that we have these boxes right here, and this, instead of our tiled world, what we've got now with all our scenes that's already built in, we've got these sort of spawn locations, and I can determine what spawns here based on what I've specifically said to spawn. So we have these specific spawn points, and then depending on the number is on here, will determine what it actually spawns on that location. This is important for the save system, because in the save system we need to determine before the game starts what a specific block is, so that we can save it later. Having items just in the world ended up creating duplicates. We need to be able to spawn them with the save system and determine if the save system is active. So that brings us into the save system. So right here we got it as a game object. This is because rather than have it as just an open script sort of, we've got it in the scene, because that way it's much easier to save to a specific scene that's active. But also it's easier because it means that in other scenes we don't actually have to save anything. Like the dungeon scenes that hold all the dungeon information is predetermined in these scenes, in these main scenes with the worlds, and so it makes sense that we don't have extra saves in those other worlds. Anyway, what you can see on our save system is a bunch of prefabs. This determines what is going to be saved on our world tiles, and all it has to do is respawn them from this list with the specific script. And we've also got down here, we got our individual scripts for individual objects. Now, I've built off this system from Turtle Trial. Turtle Trial was a really simplistic version of this. However, I've really expanded the system and really kind of made it my own, and also made it, I think, a little bit better, a lot better than what I had before. So before I had save system scripts all over the place. I had to think about 8 in total. What I've done is I can condense that into one single script, so that holds all the save and loading. Another thing was that in other scripts, like the player score and the individual scripts that had information, would load and save from those scripts. Now it all saves and loads in the save system. So if I just bring this over here, you'll see that now we have our save and load in our awake. So this is before a frame is called in the world. That loads everything that we need, and we can also save everything in one go in this script. So we don't need to use any other scripts to save anything. That's another massive improvement from Turtle Trial. And yeah, this has every save and load. We also have our deleting, so we can delete all of our different saves. And specifically, let's go all the way to the top here. So what we have here is a string that's associated with the file name. So I've just set them up right here. So the subject and the save specifically. Then we also have our references to our scripts. We have a list here because we're saving world tiles, which are multiple objects and the script on them. We need to be able to save a list. This is something I didn't do in Total Trials because I didn't feel like there was enough objects to really save. However, what I've done here is I just created a list. We've also got our bool here that's data found. That just determines if, as it sounds, the data has been found from a save, and what we can do is use that bool across the game to determine if something can be loaded or not. We use it for the world tiles in case the world tiles need to be spawned or not. And then of course we have our destroy deconstruct. Now our destroy deconstruct is actually a master script that I'm using for saving the data for the buildings. What I mean by that is if I go to our deconstruct script, you'll see right here in our wake that we can add all of these specific items to our list. But also when we destroy them, so on destroy, we delete them as well, so we remove them from our list as well. And when that gets added to the list, obviously we can then control and save all of that information, from position to rotation to all of our info that we need. Now another thing that's important is I'm actually passing the build stats information into this script to then be saved. Why am I doing that? Well, it's much easier to pass this information into the script and then use it as a master script for the buildings than anything else. So yeah, we just pass this on into the script, all this information, which isn't too much information, and then it gets saved. So if I go up here, back into our save system, it then gets saved into our save function, which of course saves the file as well as the count, so the amount of objects that we have. We'll need that later for when we spawn them. So we save all of our objects for using a for loop. We get all of the information. We save it to our scenery data. So in our turtle trial we also had the save data script, so that saves all the information, holds it all, and then you can use that same script that has all the information saved in it to load it back out. So all I'm doing here is just saving all the data with a specific number, and then what we got up here is a much more advanced version of what I had previously in Total Trials. So we're saving the name automatically, but we're also saving what specific scene it's in, so the number. So this will be adding 1, 2, 3, 4 on top of it, and this just makes it so that the data is from that specific scene only. We don't have to worry about saving from multiple different scenes like I did in Turtle Trial individually. Now it will automatically save that data from the number of the scene, and it'll load it in the same way, so we don't have to worry about trying to create our own individual saves for specific scenes. This does it automatically. So I'm not going to go over this save system because lots of YouTubers have actually covered it. It's very simple, so I'm not going to look at it. And then what we got here is our load. So again, get all this specific file path so that we can load our data. We get the count reset, but if it actually exists, we get our count as an integer. And then of course if we come down here to actually spawning the object, then we go through a for loop again, which spawns all the specific numbers that we got. So it's the path plus the amount of items that were saved based on our counts as well, so our scenery count. Keep spawning them, and we also collect all of our information. So we can see our data, we're getting the data from the scenery data, and then we're getting the positions, rotation, as well as all of the information based on the number. Now we could easily do this at the very bottom, but the problem is that we wouldn't know which information is from what to go on a specific item. Because our build stats are so unique to each other, we need to be able to determine what building is what. So right here we got our data, we load the specific number that it's got from the data itself that's loading through based on the number of the item. So it determines it here. So let's say it's just the bungalow. Then it loads all the information associated with the bungalow, but it also spawns the house based on the array that we got. So the list of items in the array, and based on the element as well. And because I already know what the element number is, I don't have to worry about like commenting or anything like that. So I know that the element number 0 for house prefabs is the bungalow. So we load all these. It does it for all specific buildings. Probably a better way of doing it, but for now that's how I've done it. It does it for every single one until we've got all of our information. Once it's loaded all of it, it then returns as a true data found, or else it doesn't find the data. Now I had this here just so I could see the path to see that it was actually working, but we don't need that. And then it returns it. Now we do something very similar to all of these, but these are much more simplistic because we're only saving one script on one object, so we don't need to get any lists or anything, we don't need to get any numbers. We just get the data, we save it, we load it from the player stats data, for example. We just tell ourselves that we have saved the player stats script and the information on it, and then we just bring it out of here and load it. And it's very, very simple, it's just all of the different information. Now bear in mind the data is extremely long because there's so much information that needs to be saved in this game. There's no other way around it. This is just how it's got to be saved. And so let's have a quick look at some of them. So this is one of the longer ones, which is our character inventory. This is a lot of information that's got to be saved, but there's no other way around it. And then what we do is we save that information to the data in the script for it to be ready to load. If we go to something like our objectives, which is also now been saved as well, you can see that we have all of our information for our objectives saved, and then we do the same thing, we save it to the script from our objective script that's in the world and ready to load later on. So in total, the scripts that have been saved is the world tiles, so the deconstruction and building stats are part of the world tile save. Then we have the player stats. So the player stats has been saved, all of the information for that. So that's all the resources in the world. Then we have the objectives, of course, which can get saved and loaded in. Then we have the time manager, which is all of the time, and the character inventory, which is all the information of things they've crafted, crystals they've collected, things like that. So let's quickly load and see what it says at the bottom. So at the bottom we've got no loading, there's nothing that's been set, but if we quickly create some stuff, what we can do is we can, let's just create a couple of these shops. Now as you can see, we have a few of these objectives completed. What we can do is we can just save as we are, and then what we can do is down here you'll see that it says saved. I have it on the other screen. You'll see that we've got our world saved, our player stats saved, our objectives saved, our world time saved, and our inventory. So what we're going to do now is we're going to reload the scene, and everything should reload in the same place, the same rotation, and as you can see it has. So if I just bring this back over, world loaded, player stats loaded, objectives loaded, world time loaded, and the inventory has loaded as well. So everything is working, all of the save system is working, and that's pretty much all I wanted to go over in this video. In the next video, I'm probably again going to go back to the dungeons, try and fix them all and get them all working, because now that the save data is done, I kind of want to move on with this game and get it finished. Okay, so this has been ProTaleDev, and I'll see you next time.